You know, I'm not of the generation where you read things on your phone. But let me start out by saying I'm very happy to be here on behalf of the December 12th movement. I'm very happy to be here because we just lost our chairperson, Viola Plummer, this past week. And I was talking to Larry Holmes, and I was saying, you know, Larry and I go back 74. I think 74, Clifford Glover, Jamaica. You know, Larry was a little kid, and I was younger. But I wanted to be here because we're in the process of planning funeral services for our comrade. But I wanted to come because we talked about this last year. It's the 100th centennial of Lenin. And Lenin clarified for us the relationship between socialism and the national liberation struggles. And we think that is critical. Also, I wanted to come because I wanted you to hear Viola in June 1991 in Libya at a worldwide anti-Zionist conference for Africans. And let me just do the telephone thing. She said at that conference, Kwame Ture was there, Rosie Douglas was there, Max Stanford was there. Many of the revolutionaries were at this conference. And this is what she said, 1991. Africa was colonized by the same barbarians who colonized Palestine. Colonialism, racism, and Zionism have the same strategies and tactics. Colonialism and Zionism are the economic systems which trick people using spiritualism, confusing spiritualism and economics. The destruction of our language was crucial, and we now communicate in a language developed by our colonists to oppress us. Language is an important tool and means of propaganda to reach the masses of our people, and the necessity to destroy the myth that we're attacking religion when we attack Zionism. We know that democracy is defined in terms of the frick and frack. If you don't choose frick, you have to do frack. It is strongly recommended that we study the question of black theology because of the importance of religion to African people. We do not want to isolate ourselves from the masses, and yet we do not want to tail behind them. As a result, we must be united. Our differences between us must be put aside, and it's necessary to unite on the basis of our similarities. That's Viola Plummer, 1991. And she goes on, but I just wanted to start with that because from the very beginning of my political relationship with Viola, she always was a teacher. And one of the first things she struggled to teach us were the contradictions that are in you are the first contradictions that you have to resolve. The class struggle going on within you is what determines what you're going to do. And so she was constantly struggling to have us analyze ourselves because being in this capitalist, degenerate country, there are all sorts of ideas that run through our heads, some that propel us forward, some that don't. You know, Winnie Mandela said, I'm a product of my people and I'm also a product of the enemy. Because one teaches me my responsibility, the other one teaches me what must be destroyed. And so I must learn from both of those because I'm a product of both of those. So it's not accidental. You know, the last time I was here, we were commemorating Matulu in this room. After that, President of Cuba, President Canal, was here in this room. But I used to tell Viola, I can't come to this room without understanding that also, under her leadership, this room wouldn't be here. Because in 1990, they were tearing down the Audubon Ballroom. And one of our comrades, Olive Armstrong, led the Black Consciousness Movement, which was a youth in the December 12th movement, to stop the destruction of this building. This building right here. So when Larry told me and Monica said, we're going to do Lenin 100th anniversary, we want to focus it on the question of the Palestinians and what's going on. And you know, we say, for people who don't think it can get worse, it can. All you have to do is look at the television. If you don't believe it could get worse, it can. The bombs that they're dropping on the Palestinian people are made right here in the United States. If they can do that there, they will certainly do that here. And it will not be in the kind of neoliberal form. You know, people talk about gentrification. We've never accepted that term. In fact, we didn't know what the damn term meant. It was some sociologist term from England. It's ethnic cleansing, which is this economic and international definition. And so it can get worse. We in the December 12th movement, and I read that statement by Viola because we want you to know the Black liberation movement is not tailing the Palestinian liberation movement. We're hand in hand and arm with the Palestinian struggle. We remember the relationship between Israel and racist South Africa in terms of the exchange of weapons, intelligence, all forms of communications between them to keep both of us oppressed. The reason why South Africa could now at this point in time take a position in the World Court denouncing Israel is because South Africa liberated itself. South Africa could not have liberated itself if it was not for the allies around the world, but in particular the countries of Southern Africa who supported armed struggle in Southern Africa. The treachery among the Arab countries that surround Palestine is historic. It is historic. They have sold out the Palestinian people for 10 pieces of silver. And that is why Palestine is in the situation it is now. Look around, as they say, look around, brothers and sisters, if you want to understand the conditions of Palestinians. Look around who they're surrounded by. They're not surrounded by Britain. They're not surrounded by the United States. They're not surrounded by Italy or France. They're surrounded by their Arab brothers and sisters who have sold them out. And that's a hard reality. So, D12 is going to be wherever the struggle is going to be. Back in 1991, we were there. In 94, when Yasser Arafat came before the United Nations and said, I come with an olive branch or a freedom fighter's weapon. You choose which one I pick up or lay down. And I remember that day because we were in the streets on 47th Street physically fighting JDL at that time. In fact, that rally, we were the only blacks in the whole rally that went to the UN at that time. But the Palestinians are fighting. And I say to the Palestinians, we down dirty with you. But when shit is happening to us, you got to be down dirty with us. Because people don't struggle for abstract ideas. They struggle to change their material reality, and they have an understanding of who's down with them and who's not down with them. So as Gabral said, tell no lies and claim no easy victories. The Palestinian people are fighting for their lives, and every conscious person in the world should be supporting them. But in the Sahel, they're fighting for their lives. In the Caribbean, they're fighting for their lives. In South America, they're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their lives around the world because, as Lenin said, the connection between the fight for socialism and the destruction of capitalism is major ally of the national liberation struggles, which is why we must support them and we must support each other. In Brooklyn, we have a slogan around this ethnic cleansing that's going on all over. We say, we ain't going nowhere. 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 Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Black power. For black people, because black people Need black power. Remember, no justice, no peace.